by Amica Insurance. It's not just how you're covered, it's how you're treated. For more information, visit amicatexas.com. Apiece so far, the Rangers and the Red Sox in this head-to-head battle, and it was at the head of Ian Kinsler that the Red Sox were throwing yesterday. Stay tuned. We'll see where that goes, if anywhere, today. One thing we do know, the winner of this game this afternoon emerges as the front runner for the wild card. The Rangers with a chance to overtake the Red Sox today from the ballpark here in Arlington. And we welcome you to Texas Ranger Baseball. Along with Tom Grieve, I'm Josh Lewin. Very nice to have you with us today. The Rangers going forward with blazing speed. Yesterday they had 8 stolen bases.
Well, Elvis and Julio made it look like a track meet yesterday. They each stole 7 bases. They each had 7 hits. They were on base all day long. The Red Sox knew they were going, and there was absolutely nothing they could do to stop them. Together, they scored 5 runs. Julio chipped in with a couple of runs batted in, and it was an extremely fun game to watch, the way the Rangers played all the way around, but especially how they ran the bases.
And a Paul Simon lyric right up there at the top for your pleasure as well. Julio Borbon and Elvis Andrus right back in the mix today for Ron Washington. Why not? And the pitching hopes to keep on doing what it has been doing. It is going to be Dustin Nippert this afternoon as the Rangers and the Red Sox play ball next. The Ford F-150 is not just a pickup truck, it's a Ford F-150. By Progressive. For a money-saving car insurance quote, call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. By Jack in the Box. Get the big deal today for just $2.99 plus tax. And by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag. It's on. One of the best things going on a Sunday afternoon in Arlington, Texas. The young kids out there to meet and greet their heroes. And Dustin Nippert's got a serious game to pitch here in just a moment, but he's going to take some time to really get to know this young fan. The Rangers in with a record of 65-50. They are just a half a game behind the Red Sox, who are 66-50. And a lot of fans looked like they were maybe doing some headhunting yesterday. Ian Kinsler got buzzed, and then he got hit in the head, as a matter of fact. And last night, I guess, Tag, well, we can say an uncomfortable moment or two.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I don't think he was throwing at him on purpose, but Ian stands close to the plate. They want to throw him in. Earlier, there was one thrown right at his head. He'd hit a home run earlier in the game. And, you know, whether it was intentional or not, if you can't throw inside without risking hitting someone in the head, then you shouldn't throw inside. And if you do, and you hit someone in the head, then, in my opinion, intent has nothing to do with it.
Ian Kinsler was asked about all that went down yesterday. He and Jason Varitek had a little conversation after he was hit. Here's what Ian had to say.
You know, when a ball comes at your face like that, you don't really have time to think. Honestly, I don't really know what I was thinking. It's just the way you react to that situation. You know, me and Varitek had some words, and we were able to talk after the game and figure it out, and, you know, we were able to put it behind us.
There are a couple other incidents around baseball yesterday. Guys getting hit, guys going down. David Wright, you might have seen that. Hiroki Kuroda for the LA Dodgers went down yesterday. So kind of a scary set of circumstances all around the big leagues.
Matt Cain hit him with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and he had a concussion. The worst, though, was Kuroda by far. Kuroda got hit by a line drive, and the ball bounced straight back over the catcher's head into the stands, and it was ruled a ground rule double. Wow, that was a scary one.
Nice start here for Nippert. First two pitches are strikes to Ellsbury, a guy that you absolutely want to keep off the bases. He's got 53 steals. Let's scout out Dustin Nippert while we have a moment.
Yeah, good solid season for Dustin. He's 3-1, a solid ERA. He's been throwing the ball great. He had a career high 10 strikeouts against Cleveland in his last start. His last 3 starts have gone extremely well. In his last 4 games, opponent's batting average is only 172 against Dustin. And even though he lost his start to Cleveland, he gave up 5 runs in the 3rd inning. He struck out 8 of the final 13 batters he faced. He threw the ball great.
The only other Ranger to lose a game of 6 innings pitched with 10 strikeouts was Nolan Ryan. He really did recover beautifully from that one bad inning that sank him in that game. Kind of game where you're thinking, well, maybe he's out of there after 3. And then you go, okay, 4. Nope, 5. And then he's back out there for the 6th. Poked in the air to left field and taking off. Julio Bourbon chasing. Back. Makes an over-the-shoulder catch.
Well, you talk about just outrunning the baseball. That ball was hit 40 yards over his head. He wasn't playing that deep in left field. Fortunately, it wasn't a line drive. It was a high fly ball. And he just took a sprint, did a 60-yard dash, reached up and caught the ball. That's a beautiful way to start the game for the Rangers.
Boy, like he was plucking fruit off a tree right there. Like it was no big deal.
You cannot replace speed.
We have seen the number 29 race him down in a Ranger uniform before. That's the number the great Rusty Greer wore so well. I guess if you're going to wear 29 in this town, you better be willing to go get a baseball. It's up too high to Dustin Pedroia. Well, Julio Bourbon has absolutely established himself here. Kinsler once again will hit 6th in the order today. They want Bourbon at the top. coming off the 4 stolen base game last night. We are told, Mr. Grieve, that Bourbon is the first major leaguer since at least the 1950s with a 4-hit, 4 stolen base game, only 6 games into his career.
Well, that's not surprising, that kind of game.
Wave and a miss by Pedroia, 2-2.
Yeah, and there's a chance when Nelly Cruz comes back, as well as he played last night, that he may end up the minor league season playing in Oklahoma City till the rosters expand in September. That's certainly not a foregone conclusion. The better he plays, the better chance he's got to stay in here. But when Nelly comes back, somebody will have to go.
That would have been the all-timer if Nelly was scheduled to come back today. Guy had 4 hits and 4 steals yesterday. You can't send him down.
Yeah, pretty tough.
5th Ranger ever with a 4 stolen base game. And Elvis Andrus upstaged yesterday. Elvis had a heck of a game. 3 stolen bases, 3 hits, great D. Pedroia is going to give this one a ride, and Bourbon back again. Got it again. After Ellsbury and Pedroia, here's the rest of the Red Sox lineup today, brought to you by Southwest. It's Victor Martinez and Jason Bay. David Ortiz trying to reemerge again. He's up to 5th in the batting order. Mike Lowell, Casey Kochman, Brian Anderson, recently acquired from the White Sox. Alex Gonzalez, more recently acquired from Cincinnati.
You'll get kind of an idea early in the game. One of the reasons why the Red Sox may not be quite as successful on the road. If we were playing in Fenway, that's probably a home run. Ellsbury's ball might have been a home run or a double. And there's probably 2 men on it, a great chance to score a couple of runs in the first inning. But in a big ballpark like this, Bourbon was able to catch both of them. Yesterday's game started with a lot of fly balls. Marlin caught 4 of the first 6 outs in center field with Derek Holland on the mound.
Bird is in center today, Hamilton and right. I think the guy that you keep an eye on today is behind the plate. Taylor Teagarden is being asked to do the bulk of the catching now with Saltalamacchia on the DL. The Rangers have Kevin Richardson up from the minors. That would be the Rangers' backup, unless the Rangers over the next couple days find a way to trade for some sort of veteran catcher that might be available. On 3-0, a swing by Victor Martinez, and he punches it in right. Yeah, the big go-ahead hit Friday night to Victor Martinez to right field. Talked about the outfielders. We'll show you the infielders now. Young, Andrews, Kinsler, and Blaylock. And again, Teagarden with Richardson to back up. Kevin Richardson had kind of a fun couple days, Tag. He caught a no-hitter in Oklahoma City Friday, then gets told he's going to the major leagues on Saturday.
That is a lot of fun. Luis Mendoza tossed the no-hitter. It's got to be a huge thrill for Kevin to get called up to the big leagues and be here for last night's game.
5 walks and 6 strikeouts, part of the, well, Mendoza line. And a thrill absolutely for Richardson to be a part of that. That one came on a night when the Rangers starting pitcher performed admirably too. Kevin Millwood didn't have his best stuff, but he persevered. The Rangers in position to win that game Friday night, just couldn't stick it in the 9th. Michael Young makes the play on Jason Bay. Junichi Tazawa will be on the mound for Boston when we come back, and there's no scoring. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Julio Bourbon, Michael Young, and David Murphy. Marlon Byrd and Josh Hamilton. Hamilton has been great over the last week and a half or so. Kinsler and Blaylock, Teagarden and Andrews. And our first look at the Japanese right-hander Junichi Tozawa. The scouting report presented by the Dallas County Community College District.
Only his second career major league start. He pitched amateur ball for 4 years in Japan. Last year, a great record, 13-1. He was in 21 games. He had 5 saves and 11 starts. A little bit of everything last year. He won his first major league start. That was against the Tigers. Struck out 5 of the last 8 batters he faced. He's kind of rare when you think about Japanese pitchers because he came to the States before ever pitching professionally in Japan. Usually the pitchers have established themselves in the professional league before they can work their way out of their contract to come over here. He signed with the Red Sox to a 3-year contract before ever playing professionally.
We note that Jason Varitek is not the catcher today. It is Victor Martinez instead. The Rangers, now somewhat famously, stole 8 last night against Boston, establishing a new franchise record for steals in a game. Poor Jason Varitek has now allowed 92 stolen bases this year. 4 of them to this guy at the plate, Julio Bourbon. Bourbon's batting average jumped all the way to .389 with this 4-hit game. He's going to try to bunt his way on. And he has done it. And the fans are digging Julio Bourbon.
Once he gets the ball down like that and the first baseman fields it, there's no way you can throw him out because the pitcher can't beat him to first base. The pitcher didn't even come close to beating him to first base, and he's only 23 years old. So you know he's fairly agile. He's in great shape, but that's no contest right there. What a weapon. Speed.
I'll see if the Rangers try out Victor Martinez the way they were driving all over Jason Varitek yesterday.
Well, they were. Jason Varitek was the catcher, but they didn't steal on him. They stole on Brad Penny. Brad Penny had 8 bases stolen against him early in the season by Tampa Bay and 8 more last night. And Bill Dickey, Johnny Bench, and Pudge Rodriguez couldn't have thrown anybody out last night the way that Penny was delivered to the plate. He didn't vary his delivery. They got almost a head start towards second base. Felt kind of bad for Varitek, really.
Well, and the Rangers, give them credit. Ron Washington ends up sounding like an offensive coordinator in football, saying we are committed to the run.
Well, as long, you know, in an amateur game, you might feel sorry for the other team and hold back a little bit. Not in a big league game.
Not when you're trying to crawl past the Red Sox.
Well, you would steal 40 bases, you'd do it if you could, provided the score was still close.
Bourbon appears to be in Boston's heads. In our Geico quote, he said, I was just trying to go out there and get on base and get things going. Well,
he did.
Well done, Julio.
That's an understatement.
Now one drops outside to Michael Young. Michael, you might remember, pretty much set the tone for this series. His first at bat back on Friday night, he powered a home run out of here to left. And even though the Rangers did not win that game Friday night, I just thought that was a great opening salvo fired by Michael Young. What Ellsbury has been for Boston, Bourbon is being for Texas, doing it to Boston in this series. Having reached down the bunt single, let's see if he's running on a 2-1 count. Nope. And now it's a 3-1 count.
Well, if all you did is watch his delivery, you have a pretty good inclination that Tozawa was a Japanese pitcher. They tend to be a little bit more herky-jerky, stop and start. You can really tell in his windup. You can't see it quite as much from a stretch. but they have kind of a distinctive style.
3-2, and does that increase the chances now that maybe Bourbon will get going?
I'd say it increases the chances for sure. I think they had a game plan last night because of advanced scouting, knowing that Brad Penny is a pitcher that you can run on, and they wasted no time. They didn't even wait for a throw over to first base. He didn't have a move that could keep you close, and he was slow to the plate. That's a terribly bad combination for the poor catcher.
And thus begun the Ranger relays. There goes Bourbon. Ball 4 to Michael Young. A bunt single and a walk. That's how the Rangers get the offense in gear today. Defensively for the Red Sox, Bay, Ellsbury, and Brian Anderson, the former Chicago White Sox. Lowell and Gonzalez used to be on the left side of the infield for the Florida Marlins. Pedroia and Kochman. Tazawa works with Victor Martinez. David Murphy in hitting .272. Rangers trying to jump on top today on kind of a steamy Sunday afternoon. 93 degrees right now. We're told we're on our way to 99 today. Towards the crowd. Not as big a crowd as last night's sellout. But a sun-splashed afternoon. And if you're in the area, want to come out and see the Rangers and the Red Sox, feel free to drive on by. There are tickets today. Tomorrow, 7:05 game against the Minnesota Twins, starting a 4-game series. Oh, 2 to Murphy now. Lance Parksdale says that's outside.
So far, watching Tazawa, he appears to be more of a finesse pitcher. Fastball so far has been 87, 88. So he has pretty good changeup. I'm sure he has a good repertoire of off-speed pitches. Maybe a little tough to gauge because the Rangers have never seen him before.
They were watching on TV when he gave up that game-ending home run to A-Rod in his major league debut. That wasn't a start, obviously. That was coming on in the 15th inning in what was a 0-0 game. And this is a guy that really has not allowed a lot of home runs in the minors at all, but A-Rod got him and got him good. Another pop-up, and again into the crowd she will go. The way the Rangers bounced back after that just heart-wrenching loss on Friday. I think if ever there were going to be comparisons made now between this year's Rangers and last year's Tampa Bay Rays, they're even more stark, even more dynamic right now, because that was part of what Tampa Bay did last year. They would lose a tough game or maybe 2 or 3 tough games, and they'd start to get counted out. Then they'd bounce right back and get a huge win. It seemed to happen about every couple of weeks last year. Slapped on the ground near second. Pedroia turns it. That's the only out he can get out there at second base. Marlon Byrd will come up with runners at first and third. Good chance for the Rangers to grab an early lead here.
Well, Pedroia did a nice job, and you would expect him as a Gold Glove second baseman to make a nice play to get at least the lead runner at second base. No chance to get a double play.
And here is Byrd. He's one of the guys that jumped in on that conversation yesterday about how this year's Rangers could be last year's Rays. Remember, Tampa Bay went all the way to the World Series a year ago. Tampa Bay shored up its pitching and defense. That's the biggest thing they did in 2008. And of course, a lot of other things had to break correctly, but they did. We're about 6 weeks away from finding out if the Rangers will be in the postseason or not. Of course, the AL West is still there for the taking, right? 4.5 out in the West behind the Angels. But it's exciting when you're head-to-head against the Red Sox. The wild card portal is available, and the Rangers are tied in the loss column with Boston for that. Fly ball of any depth gives the Rangers the lead, and Marlin already leads the American League in sacrifice flies. He's got 8 of them. Boy, pitching him plenty inside here. Lance Barksdale is going to say that makes it 2-2.
The first one inside was a fastball that he meant to throw inside. This looked like a hanging curveball. Marlin was hit by almost that exact same pitch yesterday, and he got out of the way of it in the exact same way and hit him in the left arm. That started a rally, 2-run rally, as a matter of fact. That ball looked like it did drop in and just barely catch the corner.
Hamilton on deck, the count 3-2. Terry Francona's team has been the wild card, representing the AL 6 times since the advent of such a thing as a wild card. It's only the first time the Rangers have been in contention. Murphy in motion, and Bird with a foul. Already 21 pitches thrown by young Junichi Tozawa. He's only faced 4 batters. Borbone, remember, the runner at third, has that great speed. Little looper, Pedroia's got it. And with Murphy on the run, that's a double play. The Rangers had 2 on and nobody out. They could not score. 0-0 at the end of 1. Serious business here, Jim. Thanks. And these games obviously have taken on a pretty serious tone. David Ortiz with a shift on for Big Papi. He's had an interesting series, no doubt. Rangers couldn't get him out Friday night. Takes a whack and drives it deep and out. Long gone, right field. All 17 home runs for David Ortiz now have been since June the 6th. A miserable start, but he has powered up of late.
Well, earlier in the year, he didn't look like a hitter that was going to come around. But in this series, he looks a lot like the old David Ortiz. I have to give him a lot of credit for that. He hit some fastballs in the first game. He absolutely destroys this fastball. Now it's out over the plate. I think the best chance of getting him out now is if you bust him in. But he drove that ball 440 feet. I think there's been some times this year where the Red Sox wondered exactly what they would do if they had to keep him out of the lineup, as important a guy as he's been to them. Based on these 3 games, you don't have to worry about that right now.
So 1-0 Boston, and Mike Lowell, the hitter. He'll take one into the ground foul.
Derek Holland battled through 6 2/3 yesterday, pitched a fine game, gave up a couple of solo home runs. Jason Bay hit one just about like that and went to left center field. So a solo home run's not going to beat you.
Well, what's crazy is I just was reaching back into my briefcase here, Tag, to pull out Sports Illustrated, which has got a really, I mean, as usual, really in-depth article about things like David Ortiz struggling. Mike Lowell is down on strikes. And they talk about what a difficult year it's been, the low batting average, a slugging percentage of about 400, which projects to be the worst full season of his career. And here's what they wrote in Sports Illustrated. They say that would be inadequate for a middle infielder, but it's absolutely crippling from a designated hitter. And they basically make a case that, I mean, here's the last sentence of the article. It says Ortiz is no longer qualified to be in the Red Sox lineup. And he just took a swing that kind of tells you otherwise.
Well, I think the Red Sox have felt that way for a lot of the season. But it really doesn't matter what he looked like when that article was written. And I wouldn't disagree with the guy that wrote that article. But at the same time, if you go on what you see right now, that may be irrelevant, because it's what you do the next 6 weeks that really matters. And based on the way he swung the bat in this series anyway, you'd have to say that David Ortiz is a force in the middle of their lineup.
The suddenly well-traveled Casey Kochman taking inside. Kochman plays first base today. Again, Kevin Youkilis is out, serving the final game of his 5-game suspension. So while the Rangers didn't have to worry about Youkilis in this series, you can go the other way. Say the Red Sox didn't have to worry about Nelly Cruz, because he's been on the DL. Kochman kind of fitting right in as a guy that works the count. Still 3-2, and Nelson Cruz hoping that in a few days he'll be good to go. Twisted that ankle in Oakland, starting off that last Ranger road trip.
Well, Kochman won't walk a lot, but like a lot of the Red Sox hitters, he won't strike out either. Pedroia doesn't strike out. Martinez doesn't strike out. Lowell, Kochman, they don't strike out a lot.
Kinsler can't get it. Reaching down with a backhand, and it went off his glove. So that long at bat, Kochman ends up reaching.
And the one pitch that's really coming around nicely for Dustin, one of the pitches, is his changeup. And that's what he struck out Lowell with, a good changeup. He had a good one to Kochman, too, that he just barely fouled off. And he decided to play that to the backhand and just never came up with it. And it's going to go as an error.
Just his 8th of the year. That's 10 fewer than he had last year. But it does allow Kochman to reach. It brings up Brian Anderson, Kinsler's high school teammate from back in Tucson, Arizona. These guys are good buddies. Scott Hairston was on that team too. Chris Duncan. That is some kind of high school team they had at Canyon del Oro.
I hope they won the state championship with all those guys.
No
But I guess you
kidding.
have to wonder if they had any pitching. Maybe they pitched as well.
Popped into center. Marlon Byrd will surround it. They did win the state title. I just looked it up.
Good.
I remember that now because the story they tell about that, with Ian having been kind of the scrappy underdog for most of his life anyway. When that high school team won the state title, they had the banquet. The coach stood up, introduced the whole team one by one, and forgot entirely to mention Kinsler until he was well into his speech. Not that Ian took that personally, but Michael Young will go to the line. Take care of business. Got Alex Gonzalez, but David Ortiz got Dustin Nippert. Long home run has made it 1-0 Red Sox. Boston's got a 1-0 lead on a big Poppy home run. Folks, you can look for Budweiser displays at participating retailers. Enter for your chance to win 4 home plate tickets and an autographed jersey. Got to be 21 to enter. All entries must be received by the end of August. Complete rules at TexasRangers.com/sweeps. On a warm afternoon at the ballpark, Rangers playing their first home day game since the middle of June. The LA Dodgers were the last team to come in here and play in the daytime hour. Dodgers look like a playoff-bound team. Rangers trying to get there themselves. Josh Hamilton takes high, bottom 2 underway. In receipt of a couple different emails, Tag, wondering what happens if the Rangers and Red Sox end up tied atop the wild card tote board. And the answer to that is there's a 1-game playoff. And I do believe that the way it goes this year, instead of the dreaded coin flip to determine where the game is played, they would actually look first to head-to-head record, which I think makes a lot more sense than a coin flip. And the Rangers will have the better record against the Red Sox head-to-head. Hamilton takes a cut. Into left center it goes for Ellsbury.
Well, there's been a number of playoffs. can't remember who played, but it was one within the last couple of years.
Well, the one last year that was kind of fun was the White Sox and the Twins, that 1-0 game.
That's the one, John Danks.
John Danks, yeah. And a Jim Thome home run.
Angels and the Mariners played one a number of years ago. Randy Johnson pitched and beat, I think, Mark Langston,
yes.
if I remember right.
And a game that was close for a while, and then it just got broken wide open.
It's a tough way to go into the playoffs. I mean, you'll do whatever you have to do to get into the playoffs, but generally you do whatever you can to win that playoff game. You don't have the day's rest. You've used a lot of pitching, and then you have to start your playoff series. So it puts you at a disadvantage in the playoff series, but that's the way it goes.
No funny business yet with Ian Kinsler. He has been hit by pitches the last 2 times he has faced the Boston Red Sox, including last night. He has also homered in 3 of the last 4 games against Boston. Swinging 3-0, he drives it deep to left. Kinsler hits it out. Big Papi doing what Big Papi does, and now Ian doing what Ian does.
Well, they probably didn't do that back in the Industrial League over in Japan on a 3-0 pitch, but when you've got a home run hitter up there, you have to be careful when the count's 3-0 as well. And he laid a fastball right in the middle of the plate, it looked like, just trying to throw a strike, and it was right in the center square. And that's as good a swing as Ian's had right there to drive that one out of the ballpark.
Blaylock swings at the first one he sees, trying to dump it in the right, caught on the run instead by Anderson. Some revenge for Kinsler. Hit in the head late in the game yesterday. Steps up there today, and out it goes. Kinsler moved from the top spot in the order down to number 6. Second straight game, and he had been nothing but the Rangers' leadoff hitter all year. A little bit of I guess, an adjustment for Ian to make, but well, that was just a vicious swing right there. Home run number 25.
Ian has said he would prefer to lead off, but I think ultimately players, and Michael Young is the best example of it, do what's best for the team depending on what the personnel is that the manager has. And at the appropriate time, if it's best for someone else to be leading off and best for Ian to be hitting in the middle of the lineup, you feel pretty confident that the type of person Ian is, that he'll adapt to that. But when you ask him a question, what would you rather do? He'll tell you, I'd rather be a leadoff hitter.
Teagarden deposits it down at the feet of Jacoby Ellsbury.
Ellsbury couldn't tell whether to come in for it or wait for it. I don't think it mattered. It was far enough in front of him where he probably wouldn't have caught it anyway. But that line drive hit directly at the center fielder, whether it's slightly over his head or in front of him, that you have a chance to catch is a real tough line drive to judge.
Elvis Andrus. He and Bourbon yesterday becoming the first teammates with 3 or more steals in a game in 9 years in the big leagues. The Marlins pulled that off back in the year 2000.
I'm surprised Tampa Bay hasn't done that.
Yeah, that's true.
B.J. Upton, Carl Crawford. And they had a game earlier where they did steal 8 bases just like the Rangers did against the Red Sox.
Crawford had 6 of them.
Ah, that's why no one else had 3.
See, you were a math major.
Even I could figure that out.
8 minus 6 is 2.
That's what he gets for being such a hog.
The last American League team to have 2 different guys steal 3 in a game, got to go all the way back to 1992, back when the Brewers were still an AL team. It was Paul Molitor and a guy that would become a Ranger later, Darrell Hamilton. is out, and that's a terrible break, because that would have been a triple for Elvis. Teagarden would have scored. Because the ball skipped out, it's an automatic double.
Well, that's too bad. You don't see a lot of balls bounce over the 407 sign, and unfortunately that one did. That would have been fun to watch that play in Boston with that 420 corner of right center field.
Yeah.
Elvis really drove this ball well. Almost 400 feet. Probably it was 400 feet. But short hops the wall, it's a run.
Taking a high hop on that sun-baked warning track. Well, no matter. Bourbon comes up, and a base hit from Julio could bring in two. Tell you what, if he carves one in the gap with his speed, he could bring in three, including himself.
That'd be fun to watch.
Bourbon had the bunt base hit in the first. 4 hits, 4 steals yesterday. And he'd already won the affection of a lot of these Ranger fans. That game that he had against the Angels when he first came up, that hustling double. Basically just kind of grounded one into center, and then all of a sudden he was standing at second base. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to him. Down and in with Michael Young on deck. Rangers haven't had the inside the park home run that we were just kind of musing about here in Arlington in 9 years. Luis Alicea, the last Ranger to get that done in this ballpark. There have been only a handful of opponents that have gotten it done since then. Bourbon to left field. Jason Bay will make the catch, and the Rangers strand a couple, but they add the Kinsler home run to tie the game. It is 1-1 at the end of 2. Delivered. Ian Kinsler and David Ortiz have traded solo home runs, and the Rangers and the Red Sox go to the third inning, 1-1. Dustin Nippert getting the start today for the Rangers, trying to get to 4 wins, 1 loss. He has made 4 of his 5 starts this year before today on the road. Both of his starts now here in this ballpark have been against Boston. He pitched pretty well against him when he faced him in July. Gave up that home run by Nick Green, and that was pretty much it. Ellsbury lines it right field, caught. Again, important to keep Ellsbury off the bases. He's got eyes on Tommy Harper's single-season record for steals in a season for Boston.
He's hit the ball well first 2 times up. Corbone ran a long fly ball down, and that was a pretty good curveball that he hit a line drive right on the nose, right to Josh. So they got him out twice, but he's hit the ball well twice.
On the out-of-town scoreboard, it's the Angels 6, Baltimore 3 in the 4th inning. Bobby Abreu with a home run, number 11. He'll end up driving in 100 again this year. Brian Roberts is hit number 10 for Baltimore. Luke Scott has hit number 20. It's a very quiet 20 for Luke Scott. The Angels again started the day 4.5 ahead of the Rangers. Ground ball to short. Elvis Andrus. No issues to get Pedroia, last year's MVP. Elvis trying to stake his claim to maybe being this year's Rookie of the Year, something Pedroia was back in 07.
Yeah, as the season unfolds, there's some pretty good candidates. Elvis is definitely one of them. Gordon Beckham for Chicago is hitting over 300. He got called up during the season, but has made a good impact. He's certainly another one. Rick Porcello is another one.
Well, and as we've discussed, if the Rangers actually end up playing in October, Derek Holland and Tommy Hunter might be heard from.
You never know. A lot of baseball yet to be played.
The Rays lead the Jays today 1-0. That's in the 3rd. Tampa Bay still kind of on the outskirts of the wild card. 4 back right now. They are suddenly 11.5 behind the Yankees in the East. The Yankees just will not lose. They play at Seattle later today. Jabba Chamberlain back on the mound, trying to go to 9-2. Seattle is starting Doug Fister. Nippert deals on the inside edge to Victor Martinez. All Martinez has done is lead this Boston team in runs batted in since they acquired him 15 days ago.
A curveball for a strike, then a changeup for a strike.
Off speed down in the dirt this time. Martinez's former team leading at Minnesota 4-3 today. Brewer high school product Kelly Shopik a home run for Cleveland. Grady Sizemore's hit one out. Luis Valbuena has hit one out. Rangers just got done taking 2 out of 3 in Cleveland. The one that they lost was the one that Nippert started, and again he was very, very good for 5 of his 6 innings. That one nasty 3rd inning just undid him.
And that was the game. It really didn't matter how many runs he gave up in that inning because the Rangers didn't score anyway.
Right, against Aaron Lappy.
And he just loved the way he finished.
That enabled the Rangers, when they came back and won the next day, and the subsequent day as well, to finish that road trip 5-5. Trying to start this homestand 2-1, getting ready for Minnesota tomorrow. Martinez zooms that one into center field.
He can hit, boy.
He is 2 for 2 off a nipper.
He had a 3-1 fastball. That's one thing, but that was a pretty good curveball right there.
Well, Martinez continues to show he's going to be an important acquisition that these guys have made. Speaking of great acquisitions, Jason Bay, part of that three-way deal last year involving the Pirates and the Dodgers, Manny Ramirez and all of his issues going west. The extremely low maintenance Jason Bay arriving in Boston. So much was made out of both the Dodgers and the Red Sox kind of living happily ever after once the deadline deal came down last summer. And yes, the Red Sox got Bay and they thrived. The Dodgers got Manny Ramirez and sold a lot of tickets and thrived. But what about the third team in that three-team deal? Not too many people wrote anything about how the Pirates thrived in that deal.
That's because they don't know yet.
Still developing, right?
Someday you'll be able to judge it. Right now it's too early for them.
5-4 fielder's choice, and Nippert is out of the inning, leaving David Ortiz on deck. It is a 1-1 game in Arlington. One tie, and folks, you can get half-price tickets online for the Wednesday game against the Minnesota Twins. Part of Ozarka website Wednesdays. Tickets available in a variety of seating areas. Some restrictions do apply. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com/eSavers. Going to be Tommy Hunter on the mound tomorrow, by the way, when the Twins are in town. Francisco Liriano for Ron Gardenhire's Twins. They're on the outskirts of a race themselves in that AL Central. They're 6-back. Rangers a half a game back for the wild card. And the team that's dead ahead of them is pitching to them right here. Junichi Tozawa, the 23-year-old from Japan, will open up 1-0 with Michael Young. Michael's a third baseman, knock wood, that has stayed healthy. There are a lot of third basemen around baseball right now that are not. The Cubs look like they'll be without Aramis Ramirez for a while. Tag. He's got a bad shoulder. He's heading to the DL. It's a bad loss for the Cubs. Hot shot, base hit, Michael Young. Blazing towards another 200-hit season. Murphy comes up next. We go to Jim Knox.
All right, thank you, Chaz. A little conflict in the stands right here. The Smart family, the husband right here and the wife. She's a Red Sox fan still. He converted over to a Ranger fan after moving here 9 years ago. How come?
I just like the way the Rangers are playing. They're going places, and they're going to get to the World Series this year.
There we go. Also, the little guy's also a Ranger fan now. Any chance of you coming over to the good side?
If they win some against the Red Sox, yes.
All right. Could be coming over after today. There we go. Appreciate it. Enjoy the game. Thanks.
All right. And the accents will also be transformed.
Big game in more than one way.
No doubt. Kochman looking to turn 2. Gets only 1. Second time Murphy's hit into a fielder's choice. Young erased like he was in the first inning.
Kochman is really smooth at first base.
Yeah.
Fielded that ball. Strong, accurate throw. Slowly hit ball that David runs well, so he didn't have a great chance to turn a double play. But Kochman's play right here, you see him field it. And a strong throw, accurate to second base. That gave him a chance to turn it. Got it there as quickly as they could anyway.
So Young off the bases. We were just talking about hurting at third baseman. Do you see what befell to poor Adrian Beltre in Seattle?
Yeah, I didn't see the injury, but I know what happened.
He's going to be out for a little while. The Mariners trying to make a last-ditch run towards the wild card themselves.
He'd just basically gotten back off the disabled list.
Well, and it seems self-evident, but kids, wear a cup. I don't really know why that needs to be reiterated, but could have helped Adrian Beltre. Fastball for a strike to Marlon Byrd. Marlon had the misfortune of lining into a double play in the first inning. Had a nice long at bat working against Tazawa. Runners at first and third, 1 out. The Rangers started Murphy. And Pedroia made the catch of the line drive. Marlins hit safely in 20 of 23 ball games. The Rangers have won a lot of those ball games. In fact, in the last 4 weeks now, the Rangers 17-9. They have ascended to the second best record they've ever had through 115 games. Only the last playoff team, 1999, that year was a little bit better. Marlon hits it in the air, right center field. Long run, Brian Anderson. He's got it. He was always lauded for his defense as a Chicago White Sox. Now as a Red Sox, able to make that play on Marlon Byrd.
It was just hit softly. It really wasn't driven toward the gap. And it gave Anderson a chance to run underneath it. Just kind of hung up there for him.
So now Josh Hamilton with a couple men out. And he drives it. Left center, Ellsbury in retreat. It short hops the wall this time. And the Rangers will take a 2-1 lead on Boston.
Well, the only difference between that and the one that Elvis hit was that one hit the wall instead of bouncing over. That allowed David to score. The other one bounced over and the runner had to stop at third base. It was Taylor Teagarden. Line shot from Josh. Pitch up and away.
Yeah, the second straight inning, the Rangers have short hopped the wall with 2 outs. And You nailed it, Tag. This time the ball stayed in the yard, and the Rangers get a run. Now Kinsler, who homered on that 3-0 count last time up. By the way, getting conflicting reports now about Aramis Ramirez. Had one dispatch out of Chicago said he was going to the DL. Another report that says he is not going to the DL quite yet. Kinsler, base hit left field. He is 2 for 2. Rangers lead 3-1.
First time up, Ian ran the count to 3-0. And Tazawa threw him a fastball right in the center of the plate, and he launched a home run. This time up, Tazawa got ahead with a curveball for a strike, tried it again, and this time Ian waited on the curveball and drove it into left field. Second run of the inning for the Rangers. Second run driven in by Ian.
Now, since Ian got hit in the helmet, 2 for 2. With 2 runs batted in.
Seven hits already for the Rangers, with 2 outs in the third inning. Tazawa again, at least in this game, first time we've seen him, doesn't appear to be at this stage of his career a hard thrower. His fastball below average, 87. Around there, but he's got a good assortment of off-speed pitches. Curveball, changeup, different variety of off-speed pitches.
He had 9 wins and an ERA in the 2s in the minors this year. And a herky-jerky motion. Very much on display right there as Blaylock swings and misses. Two runs in the bottom of the third. After the Red Sox went first in the scoring column today. Kinsler answered with a home run on a 3-0 count last inning. Now the Rangers have scored twice in the third. Blaylock already with 23 home runs this year. Gets under that one, pops it way up there. Kochman makes the catch. And that'll do it for the Rangers in the third, but they score twice and take the lead on Boston. to manage a professional baseball game. A professional baseball game. Not really sure why I accented professional. I could have said baseball game, but anyway, we'll get to the answer in the bottom of the fourth. David Ortiz in the top of the fourth, and he's already got a home run today. I misspoke earlier, by the way. His second home run of the year wasn't until June. He did have one right around Memorial Day. Followed up with one against the Rangers on June the 6th to make it 2 homers for the year. That was the one that went right down the line at Fenway. I mean, right down the line, tucked inside that foul pole. The one he hit off Nippert today was legit. Real legit. It's down from Dustin Nippert. Dustin's done a nice job with the top 2 guys in the order for sure today. Ellsbury and Pedroia, 2 guys who really want to keep off the bases. 0 for 4. We saw Big Poppy batting 7th for Terry Francona Friday. Back up to 5th now in between Bay and Lowell. Now he's going to walk. That'll mean Lowell bats as a tying man. Baltimore has crept back to within 6-4 against the Angels. That game's in the bottom of the 5th. Try to get you some National League scores in just a moment. Infield, a double play depth for Texas. Got the Giants and the Mets tied 2-2. 8th inning. Luis Castillo's first home run of the year for the Mets. 2-0 to Lowell. His former team, the Marlins, game 1 of a doubleheader against the Rockies. It's Florida 7-1 in the 4th inning. Florida's a team that won't go away, huh? 4 back in the NL East, right there in the wild card. Boy, everything's up now, 3-0. These patient Red Sox hitters will not help you out. Got to throw strikes or they won't swing. Two walks to open the 4th inning, and Mike Maddox is going to hustle out there and make sure this isn't a redux of what happened in Cleveland. That one tough inning for Dustin. We say thank you to the Baltimore Orioles meantime, as they've just come back to tie that game on a Nick Markakis home run. Angels led that game tag 4-0 at one point.
Dustin hadn't walked anybody for the first 3 innings. Now he's walked the first 2 here in the 4th. Has the bottom of the order coming up. Sure, Mike's saying you're throwing the ball great. Keep the ball down, throw a strike, get a ground ball, and everything's going to be fine.
He got a ground ball off the bat of Kochman last time. He will bat right here. Brian Anderson to follow. Young in on the grass at 3rd. Just in case the bunt is coming. It's a swing instead. Retreating is Marlon Byrd. He's got it at the track. Ortiz tags. He'll go to 3rd. Lowell has to go back to 1st. Looks like the polar opposite of a bunt right there. He drove that ball about 395 feet.
That's good base running by Ortiz. You don't have to be fast to at least be a decent base runner. And he goes halfway, then he's still on second. Now he can score on a fly ball. He senses that the ball is going to be caught. Once you sense the ball has a great chance to be caught, you might as well tag up even if you don't go. But as deep as that was, anyone could have gotten to third base if they tagged up.
A little bit inside to Anderson. He dealt over from Chicago for Mark Kotsay not too long ago. That's the pitch you wanted, though, right? Chance to get a ground ball on that. Rangers have that infield, the double play depth. Rangers out hitting the Red Sox 7-3. Ground ball, but it's foul. Anderson was kind of cooling his heels down at AAA for Boston when he came over from the White Sox. Had 4 home runs in a couple of weeks at Pawtucket. At a great minor league ballpark, McCoy Stadium in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Now up with the big club, getting a chance to spell J.D. Drew. Giving Drew a couple days off here. Poked into right. Josh Hamilton lines it up. He's got it. Big Poppy's coming. Here's the throw from Hamilton. Oh, it took a slow hop once it got there. That's too bad.
If that was on AstroTurf, they might have had a shot to get him. It was just a little bit too deep.
The idea of a one-hop throw getting there to Teegarden seemed like it was absolutely in play, but it just kind of took a soft hop. Three-2 ball game now. Strike one to Gonzalez. And David Ortiz has scored both of the runs for Boston today.
He's only hitting .219, but he sure hasn't looked like a .219 hitter in this series.
Nope, he's making that article that we referenced in Sports Illustrated in this week's mailbox look kind of moot already. Towards the corner, scorched up against the wall, and it bounces out of play, and that's a break this time for the Rangers instead of against the Rangers.
Well, the way that ball, as hard as that ball was hit, and based on the fact that it was Lowell running, it probably would have ended up second and third, but you're right, it might have ended up worse if it caromed away from Corbone in left field. Got stuck underneath the matting. That was a high changeup out over the plate that Gonzalez jumped all over.
That is a dead ball, right? I don't think I've seen that one before.
No, I don't think I have either.
Ballpark's been open since what, 1994? I haven't been here for every game, but I don't know what the odds are of the ball nestling in like that. That'd be pretty long odds indeed. 0-2 to count to Ellsbury. Dustin Nippert has retired Ellsbury twice on fly balls. Actually, the last one was more of a line drive. And Ellsbury hitting very close to 300 for the year. He's at 299 right now.
He has a big gap out in left center field, and he almost found that gap the first time up, but Bourbon ran it down.
Runners at second and third, 2 out. Ground ball. Kinsler soaks it up. Throws the Blaylock to end the inning. Bottom of the fourth inning, and back to the Aflac trivia question for you now. The oldest person to ever manage a professional baseball game. Somebody that Mr. Tom Grieve knows very, very well. Bobby Bragan was 87 years, almost 88 years old when on this date in 2005 he managed the Fort Worth Cats. Barely older than Connie Mack at that point, and we should note Bobby was ejected from that game in the third inning for arguing balls and strikes.
The other guy that's associated with the Cats that's, I'm sure, right up in that general area is Wayne Terwilliger.
Twig.
Still coaching for him over there now.
Taylor Teagarden will be followed by Elvis Andrus and then Julio Bourbon. Here in the bottom of the fourth inning, the Rangers have a big day going from Ian Kinsler. There's some nice work on the mound from Dustin Nippert, too. Nippert beat these Red Sox right here in July. Stepped in when Vicente Padilla had the flu. Now he has stepped in for Vicente Padilla, period.
I don't notice a whole lot of drop off in performance either with Nipper on the mound. I feel like he's got an equal chance to go out and win a ball game as Padilla did.
I have not heard either that there's a line out the door of suitors for Padilla's services right now. But we'll see.
Yeah, you know, here the Dodgers might have some interest in signing him, and I'm sure someone will. Still got some talent and something to offer.
A lot of talent. But the Rangers real happy with what they've got now. This whole dynamic of the young pitching. And Derek Holland yesterday dazzled again. Should probably mention the electricity that was in this ballpark apparently when Neftali Feliz was pitching last night. I wasn't here to see it, Tag, but boy, everybody still talking about that feeling that just kind of permeates the ballpark when the 21-year-old gets out there, has that nice easy motion, and brings it in there at 100 miles an hour. Became the youngest Ranger ever to achieve a save in a regular season game with what he did last night. And we mentioned how solid Derek Holland was too. Towards short Gonzalez. That's why they went out and got him. Reacquiring him from Cincinnati. Like it's no big deal going to the hole to make that play on Teagard.
He's a veteran guy. He's played a lot of shortstop in his career. He's had years where he's hit a little bit, but he's never had a year where he didn't play good defense. He's got really quick hands and a strong arm.
Derek Holland, we were told yesterday, when it was an 0-1 count, it became an 0-2 count next pitch, essentially, 75% of the time. So not only was he getting ahead with strike one, 3 out of 4 times yesterday, he was very quickly getting strike 2. Line drive center field. Andrews is out. It brings up Bourbon.
The thing he liked about Derek last night, he didn't have quite the same command that he had of all his pitches in Anaheim. Still threw the ball well, but he battled through 6 2/3 last night against one of the better teams in baseball. Big crowd, a lot of excitement, a lot of pressure. You'd never know it watching him pitch. It's a good learning experience for him to go out and battle through those innings like he did. Gave up a couple of solo home runs, pitched out of a jam or two, and overall had a good solid outing.
Bourbon with the bunt single back in the first. He was flying all over the bases yesterday, we mentioned. 4 hits, 4 steals. Back and forth they go at Camden Yards. The Angels retake the lead now, 7-6. Rays and the Jays are still tied 1-1 in the 5th inning. The Indians now leading at Minnesota 6-3. That one's in the 4th. Way outside and up as well. So Bourbon with that great speed is on with 2 out.
Well, it's a great opportunity to attempt to steal because you don't lose a lot if you're caught. You got Young, Murphy, and Bird coming up next inning anyway. So with 2 outs to try to get into scoring position and score on a base hit is a real positive thing for the offense. So look for him to try to get a jump. Not going to go if he doesn't get a jump. Last night they had a pretty good idea they could run on Brad Penny. They probably don't know quite as much about Tazawa. A little bit quicker delivery to the plate.
Well, the Rangers stealing those 8 bases yesterday. Check your forward leaderboard. Look where the Rangers are. They had 106 steals. On pace now for 149. That would be the 3rd best total in team history. And the great thing about those 106 is they've only tried 126 times. They've been successful 84% of the time they've tried to run. That's the best in the big leagues by far. I've always thought that the when, not the how many, was kind of the important thing there anyway, right?
Yeah, and you can pad your stolen bases by stealing in a game where you're way ahead or way behind. Last night they were all pretty meaningful steals.
Fielder's choice. Bourbon never was running that time. We will go to the 5th inning here at the ballpark. It is 3-2 Rangers. is Ranger Baseball, brought to you today by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag, it's on. By Corona, official sponsor of Timeout. And by the Ford F-150. It's not just a pickup truck, it's a Ford F-150. It'll be Dustin versus Dustin as we get things going in the top of the 5th inning. Nippert against Pedroia.
Well, Dustin made biggest pitch of the game for him was the ball that he got Ellsbury out on. They had men reach second and third on Gonzalez's double with 2 outs, but he got ahead of him with 2 fastballs, jammed him with another one, a little weak ground ball, turned it into an out in a critical part of the ball. That after walking the first 2 batters in the 4th inning.
And now the battle of the bearded Dustins commences. 6'8", pitching to 5'8". And 6'8" wins out. Elvis Andrews helps out. Pedroia has been kept to 0 for 3, same as Ellsbury.
Yep, and as you already mentioned, that's one of the keys. Keep those guys off base.
I'm glad we don't have a keys to the game segment, to be honest with you. Some broadcasts do. I think, when you face the Red Sox, it's like every game you'd have to say, well, one of the big keys is keeping Ellsbury off the base.
The problem is there's only about 10 keys anyway. And so if you play 162 games,
right,
basically what you've done is repeat the keys. Unless you just want to try to make some silly things up. But
don't let David Ortiz hit one out. Keep Ellsbury from running around. Try to score more runs than the other guy.
Basically throw strikes, right, don't swing at bad pitches.
Those are your keys to the game, brought to you by the fine folks at, well, see, we don't have a sponsor, so we're good. Victor Martinez 2 for 2. And it kind of appears that Nippert has emptied his arsenal, trying to figure out some way to get Victor Martinez out. Pretty much everything Dustin can throw, he has thrown to Victor Martinez. Hadn't worked quite yet. Fouled back. Dustin Nippert, brought in from the Arizona Diamondbacks right at the end of spring training last year. Nice find for the Rangers. Yeah, a little.
There he figured something out.
Off-speed wrinkle for Victor Martinez, and down he goes.
He threw that pitch, the changeup, was set up by the previous pitch, was a fastball up that he fouled off by being a little bit late on. He probably said to himself, I have to be a little quicker for the fastball, and then he got fooled by the changeup. Not an easy thing to do to Martinez.
Jason Bay clubs one in the left. He's another guy that's usually a pretty patient hitter. Leads the league in walks, but he was going after the first one there. And now here comes David Ortiz.
I don't think the Ranger fans really dislike Big Papi that much. It's just that they're reacting to all the cheers from the Red Sox fans.
When it's Fenway, the ovation that he gets all but swallows you up. All he has to do is pretty much walk on deck, and everybody starts going crazy in Boston. When Nomar Garciaparra was in his prime in Boston, that same phenomenon was rolling through that ballpark. Probably Yaz in his prime. Mo Vaughn in his prime, I know. For a while, Manny Ramirez had that kind of buzz going too, but that did not have a staying power. David Ortiz, who a few years ago broke Jimmy Fox's old Red Sox record for home runs in a season.
The fan just screamed at Dustin, he's hitting 221.
That is true, but he's
Doesn't
also
feel like it.
No. He's also hit a 440-foot home run today. There you go. Off speed, 2-1. We're talking about Jimmy Fox. Jimmy Fox in his playing days tag was known as the Beast. He was 6'1", 195. What would you call David Ortiz?
I don't know. The Incredible Hulk.
I guess he's 6'4", 235. Ian Kinsler is bigger than Jimmy Fox was. I mean, I would say most second basemen these days probably are. But back in those days, 6'1", 195, they called you the Beast. Another walk for David Ortiz. And Mike Maddox will come to the mound. No action yet in the Ranger bullpen. Mid-80s pitch count right now for Nippert. Folks, you can bring the whole family to a ball game with the Coca-Cola Total Family Ticket Plan. You get 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 Cokes. You get a parking pass, unlimited play in the sports park for kids 13 and under. All for as little as $15 a person. Sponsored by our friends at K-Love. 972 Rangers or TexasRangers.com will get it done. Kind of looks like the horse is drinking a tall, cool, frosty beer right there. That can't be right. Maybe it's an optical illusion.
I think he's just taking a sip out of someone else's. And he's of age.
In horse ears or just for reals?
I guess horse ears is what counts.
Yeah. Here is Mike Lowell with 2 on. Up over his head. Lowell playing in his 1,499th big league game today. That was a walk and a strikeout. Been a big day for Ian Kinsler, and the Rangers lead 3-2. Kinsler had the homer on a 3-0 count and drove in one of the other Ranger runs. Now it is Mike Lowell trying to come through for Boston with 2 on, 2 out. Ron Washington trying to stay cool on this warm day with that cold towel around his neck. Doug Mathis getting ready in the Ranger pen.
One thing Dustin has had to go to today has been his changeup. He hasn't had real good command of his fastball like we've seen him have. But fortunately, he's made some really good pitches with his changeup. And there's Lowell way out in front of it. He actually struck Lowell out with a changeup earlier in the game. Struck Martinez out with 1 this inning.
Missing, and the runners will be in motion now. It's 3-2 in a 3-2 game. Runners go, 3-2 pitch. Got it!
Another changeup.
Some off-speed wizardry taking care of Mike Lowell. information, visit amicatexas.com. Rangers lead the Red Sox 3-2. The winner of this game will say they've got dibs on the wild card in the American League. Of course, there's still some baseball to go after today, but the Rangers trying to make that statement. They've got the 3-2 lead, and David Murphy leads it off. Mike Lowell, having struck out to end a threat in the top of the fifth. Dustin Nippert continues to make big pitches when he needs to. A guest in the booth in the bottom of the fifth inning. Rangers live participant Mark McLemore. You'll hear from him after the Rangers and the Red Sox are done today. And I know you probably, I hope, agree that it's fun watching Dustin Nippert have at it.
It really is. I mean, he's doing an outstanding job. And the big thing, you know, what you want your starter to do is give you 5, 6, 7 quality innings and keep your ball club in the game. And, you know, with this Rangers offense, that's all you've got to do, because they're going to score some runs.
Kinsler's been a big part of that today, as Murphy sails one up in the air, shallow right. And Kinsler's rival, Dustin Pedroia, takes it. Let me ask you about Ian Kinsler, if you don't mind, your take on all that came down yesterday.
Well, you know, that's a scary thing to have happen to you. 90-mile-an-hour fastball coming right at your head. You know, you don't have a whole lot of time to think or react. You just hopefully can get out of the way. Ian wasn't able to, and, you know, he got up and he was upset. And rightfully so. I mean, people don't realize that if his helmet comes off before he gets out of the way and gets hit, I mean, there could be some serious damage done there. So him being upset, I definitely understand that. I don't think it was intentional. It is part of the game, but it's not one of those parts of the game that you really like.
That ball ends up in center field, thrown by Victor Martinez. But with nobody on base, no big deal. Mac, it seems like they're pitching Marlon Byrd inside very consistently in this series.
Well, they don't want him to get his arms extended. That's when Marlon can do damage, driving the ball to the opposite field. So you really want to try and make him pull the ball, which is, you know, what Boston's really trying to do, stay in on him and not let him get those arms extended.
Marlon does extend to here, drops it, fair, and he's on his way to second base. Jason Bay too late, and Marlon Byrd ends up with a double, his career best 36th of the season.
Mac, you hear a lot of hitters talk about it's difficult to hit a new pitcher the first time you see him, especially a kid like Tazawa with kind of a herky-jerky delivery. Did you find that to be the case when you were a hitter?
It can be extremely difficult. I mean, you know, pitchers are creatures of habit. And if you haven't seen what their habits are, it's tough to figure out how they're going to pitch you, where they're going to pitch you, when they're going to pitch you, and not really knowing or not having seen their out pitch. You may know what their out pitch is, but having seen it, two different things. You've got to get in that box and really witness it. So a lot of times it can be pretty tricky, but usually if a guy has a four-seam fastball, those are the guys that you really don't have too much of a problem with. Yeah. It's the guys that are turning the ball over and, you know, cutting it and having movement on their ball. Those are the ones you run into trouble with seeing them for the first time.
Right. Josh Hamilton will get his opportunity now. Boy, and it's been fun watching Hambone have at it lately, too. 13 for his last 22, Mr. McLemore.
I like it. He's just feeling comfortable up in the box. I think one of the things that he's eliminated is drifting forward. I think, you know, what I was seeing was his body was drifting forward and making that fastball or every pitch look faster and harder than it actually is.
When a guy gets into a rut like that, how does one get out of it? I'm sure he's watched the video. I'm sure Rudy Jaramillo's worked with him. What triggers it?
I have no idea. I really wish I had known that, because I wouldn't have been in my slumps for very long if I had. It's just one of those things, you know. As a big league hitter, you know what you're doing wrong. It's not a matter of not knowing what it is that you're doing wrong. It's how do I fix it? How do I stop doing that? And that's usually the problem with everybody. How do I stop?
Take it back to a catch in the stands that the doctor of defense will probably enjoy here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's how you do it.
That's why you bring your glove to the ballpark right there.
You never know.
He's got a moment in time that he will never forget.
That's a real happy dad right there, too. On 0-2. Josh lays off. The power hasn't really completely come back for Josh yet. He's got 2 homers in his last 45 games now. But he does have another double today. He made just enough contact there, going off speed again. It was Tazawa. Ramon Ramirez getting ready in the pen. It can't have been comfortable, Max, to face a guy with that, as we've described it, that herky-jerky delivery, right, like Tazawa?
Well, for me, it was guys like that were fairly easy for me, because what I learned to do was not look at their motion.
Just the ball as it came out.
Look at the release points. No matter what they do, how many times they stop and start, that ball is going to come from the same spot every time. So I eliminated all the movement and just went right to the release point. No.
Again? Come on. It's a big ballpark, fella. Spread them around.
Now he'll really.
You can only make so many great plays on Josh Hamilton.
He doesn't even put his hands over his head this time. He was so surprised. Look at that ovation.
Never seen that.
The guys on the field have to be wondering what's going on.
Get ready for a third one, kiddo.
That's great.
I've never seen that. Never.
What do you think's going through his mind right now?
Nobody's going to believe him. That's what's going through his mind.
He's thinking today, I consider myself.
He's going to have a copy of this tape, so he's got the proof.
Kinsler on deck, 1-2 to Hamilton. And he bends away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You ever catch a foul ball at a big league game? I mean, when you were a civilian?
Never. Never. I didn't even catch home run balls during batting practice. I was never able to get one.
Hamilton crushes it to center. At the track. Caught! Bird will tag and move to third. And the ball was dropped out there, too. Marlin didn't know it. I don't know that he would have tried to score anyway, but boy, there's Josh Hamilton. You're thinking the power is real close to coming back. He just missed taking one out.
I'm not sure why that ball didn't go out unless he hit it a little bit off the end of the bat, but if Josh hit that on the good part of the bat, there's not a park in the world that could keep him from hitting it out of, so he must not have hit it on the sweet spot of the bat.
Now Kinsler 2 for 2 with 2 runs batted in. Ooh.
Good idea. He got the third baseman way back.
To have the long home run and then the surprise bunt RBI single would have been a pretty complete effort today.
Well, he's thinking. He's not trying to, he's trying to get that run in from third any way he can. And with Mike Lowell playing him deep, he is a good bunter. Just drop it down over there in the vicinity and they've got another run.
Kinsler's driven in 2. And for Boston, Ortiz has scored 2. Rangers first look at Junichi Tazawa, the 23-year-old from Japan. Inside, and again, the backstory. Kinsler was the guy that had his tower buzzed once yesterday, then was actually hit in the back of the helmet yesterday. They responded today with a home run on a 3-0 count. They had an RBI single after that. Rangers out hitting Boston 8-5. See again the desire to pitch Ian in. Too far in. And Blaylock will be the batter with 2 on, 2 out. It would appear they would give Tazawa the chance to get through 5. Hank was swinging early in the 2 previous at-bats. Fouled out to end things in the 3rd most recently. Swings early here. Ground ball. Pedroia smothers it. Gets up. And got him. What a play. Rangers strand a couple. Mark McLemore, thank you, bud.
Anytime, it.
As always, a pleasure. Talk to you after the game.
Anyway, Mac.
I got him. I'm getting close to scoring.
Good start.
A fan of the game. It has to go to CJ from Cedar Hill. He caught not 1 but 2 foul balls right off the bat of Josh Hamilton. Were you a little surprised?
Yes.
Made a nice leaping grab in front of those Red Sox fans, so that was nice. Here's your tote bag for Progressive, a shirt. Also, Chuck Morgan doesn't give out many of these. The Rawlings Gold Glove, courtesy of Chuck Morgan and the Texas Rangers. Congratulations, CJ. 2 foul balls off of Josh Hamilton's bat. We've never seen that happen before. Way to go.
Thank you.
All right, Josh.
CJ, way to go, my man. That's awesome.
What a day.
And he almost was able to tell the tale that at the end of all that, Josh Hamilton homered to center, but Jacoby Ellsbury made the catch instead. After CJ made a pair of catches. Casey Kochman, the batter for Boston. Top of the 6th. And a 3-2 lead for the Rangers today, trying to make it 2 out of 3 against the Sox. Trying to grab the wild card away from Boston. Kochman, base hit. He's now been on base twice. Whoever's been subbing in for Kevin Youkilis has been doing a pretty nice job in this series. The Rangers will have made it through this series without having to face Kevin Youkilis. Finishing the suspension today as we look at Doug Mathis up for the 2nd time. Well, the off-speed stuff has been pretty good from Dustin Nippert today. Breaking ball there to Brian Anderson. He had the sac fly RBI in the fourth. Grounded wide of third this time. The Angels have tacked on another run. 8-6 now. LA over Baltimore. That game goes to the bottom of the seventh at Camden Yards. Royals and Tigers are tied 2-2. Mags Ordonez has a home run. It has not been much of a year for Mags Ordonez. He is starting to come on a little bit. He's got a huge option on his contract tag that kicks in if he gets a bunch more at bats the rest of the way. The Tigers are in a race, and if Ordonez is going to be a productive player down the stretch, you kind of have to play him, I would think, right?
Yeah, you spend a lot of money trying to win, and they may not want to pay that option next year, but if he gives them the best chance to win, then I imagine Jim Leyland's going to play him.
There's the ground ball you were hoping for. 6-4-3 double play.
Dustin has made the pitches when he's needed to make them, and that was a good fastball. Got in on the fist and jammed Anderson, and another big pitch.
Kinsler makes the throw to get his good buddy and former high school teammate.
This is a little bit like the game that Derek had last night. It may not have been the sharpest game as far as command goes, but nevertheless a solid game, and the ability to pitch out of jams, make pitches when you have to, and that's what Dustin's trying to get through this game with.
Now, if he can get Alex Gonzalez right here, he'll be right around 100 pitches on a warm afternoon. He'll be through 6 innings with a lead. And again, as you talk about what could Vicente Padilla have done, I don't know if he could have done much better than that against a good Boston Red Sox team.
Personally, I'll take the effort from a 27-year-old kid. The way he's throwing,
absolutely,
prospects for the future. I'll take Nippert anytime.
Great attitude, great stuff today, and a 3-2 lead. Bottom of the 6th coming up. Slam this inning, we're giving away $25,000. Rangers have a solo home run today. That's from Ian Kinsler. A 3-2 lead over Boston. Taylor Teagarden will lead off, then Andrews and Julio Bourbon in the home half of the 6th. Dustin Nippert getting the start today. He's only had 2 starts at home all year. They've both been against the Red Sox, and they've both been about like this, Tag, with 6 innings, 1 or 2 runs. Today it's 2.
Well, I think any time that you can go 6 innings, give up 2 runs, you've pitched a solid game. And when you say you've done it in a pennant race, in an important game against the Red Sox, I think you can add a little bit to that. Just like Derek last night, 2 young pitchers stepping up, pitching good games when you wanted a good game, a nice game pitch. They've done it.
We talk about Dustin and Derek. Dustin Nippert actually has an identical twin brother named Derek, who pitched with him for a while in the Diamondbacks organization. He got as high as A ball. Dustin Nippert has gone on to be a big part of what the Rangers are doing. Today the Rangers leading 3-2. Breaking ball missing to Teagarden. We have no new news, by the way, on Jared Saltalamacchia. They're checking him out. The possibility exists of that thoracic outlet syndrome. Might be something to be wary of.
Well, he's seen Dr. Pearl, who is an expert dealing with that condition, and evidently he needs to have more information. There will be some more tests, and I think those are going to be done tomorrow.
That's what had Hank Blaylock out not too long ago. Chopped foul right at the plate. A couple names have been floated out there if the Rangers do need to try and make a move to acquire some sort of veteran catcher. Of course, the name every Ranger fan is going to throw out there is Pudge Rodriguez if Houston falls out of the race.
I would say so.
I guess you can make a case that the Astros kind of are sagging out of that race right now. Taylor Teagarden annihilates one. Deep to left. It is gone. Way gone.
That ball hit in the middle of the restaurant.
A club level home run. A rarity at this ballpark. You see about one of those a year. 4-2 Rangers.
Oh, no doubt about that one.
Well, as soon as we start talking about maybe bringing in another catcher to help Taylor out, he says, no, I got it. I'm good. Probably the longest home run he's hit in the big leagues.
That was a fastball inside half of the plate. In fact, on the inside corner, and he was just ready for it, turned on it. That was a long one. And hit right in the middle of the window.
Wow.
Didn't quite get to the next level, but it came pretty close.
That would be your Baywatch right there. The left fielder, Jason Bay, just kind of turns and salutes it. And now Andrews smokes one in the left.
I think Terry's going to be coming to the mound pretty quick after those 2 ropes.
How about the 8 and 9 guys today? Taylor Teagarden and Elvis Andrews are a combined 4 for 6.
Elvis had the big game last night, and he's having a nice game today.
They will turn to a Japanese native yet again. Tozawa will go out. Okajima will come in. The Rangers have chased the starter here.
ballpark in Arlington, Texas, up 4-2 on the Boston Red Sox. Welcome back to the ballpark. And guys, we want to remind you about where you can find us on the internet, facebook.com/Fox Sports Southwest and twitter.com/FS Southwest. You gentlemen were chatting with Mark McLemore during the 5th inning. You've got a chance, the followers, that is, of those of us on Twitter, to ask Mac a question. He will answer some of those in the post-game show on Rangers Live. Talk to the Doctor of Defense. Just send us a tweet, FS Southwest on twitter.com.
Thanks, Tim. And we'll set the new Boston pitcher for you. Hideki Okajima. He'll first chase Andrews back to the bag at first. The Verizon Wireless called to the bullpen. And Okajima's the guy that has that splitter changeup hybrid. Can be a pretty effective pitch. Bourbon, the left-hand hitter, already showing bunts. Speed aboard and nobody out. And the bunt from Bourbon is a good one. Got a bunt hit and a sac bunt in the game now today. Further endearing himself to these Ranger fans. And well, he's got a nice little skip in his step, too. Just legitimately excited to be around here.
Well, if you're a player like Bourbon, you're missing the boat if you can't bunt. And so the fact that he can bunt is really going to help him with his speed. Not only beating out a bunt, but there'll be times when he has to do that, get a sacrifice bunt down.
A throw back. Andrews wasn't really believing it was coming at first, but there it was. There are the numbers on Okajima. Now they're just going to go ahead and put Michael Young on, it would appear.
Well, can't say that I blame him in this situation. You've got the Rangers' best hitter at the plate with a runner at second base. Nobody on first. You put him on and set up a double play. Fans don't like it, but they'd do the same thing if they were in Terry Francona's place.
David Murphy is 0 for 2 lifetime, if that means anything, against Okajima. Remember, Murphy used to play for the Boston Red Sox, made his debut for Terry Francona.
Okajima holds left-hand hitters to a 163 average. He's been tough on lefties.
Well, Murphy has hit the ball on the ground a couple times today. See if he can drive one in the air. Let the Rangers pile a few more on. Of course, the Rangers have a pinch hitting option, don't they? Jones for Murphy, and since Murphy is DHing today, it's not like you lose a glove right now. We know, by the way, that is Soulja Boy, the artist that fashions the walk-up music for Andrew, since you stumped me on that one the other day.
Well, I'll cut you some slack on that one.
Your guess of Sinatra was way off. So the infield, the double play depth. Bird on deck, and Andrew Jones takes down and outside. Runner at second base, the responsibility of the starter, Tozawa. If Takashi Saito gets in this game, the Red Sox will have 3 Japanese pitchers in one afternoon going against the Rangers. Rangers with 1 in the second, 2 in the third, and 1 in the sixth. And the Rangers have lined in to a double play. They do tack on 1 run on the Taylor Teagarden homer. 4-2 Rangers into 6. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T is your world delivered. Hit us 4, and I saw third base umpire Angel Hernandez trading a baseball for a Slurpee over there. I don't blame him on a hot afternoon. A 4-2 lead for the Rangers, and Dustin Nippert did his job. He went 6 innings, held down this Boston team to 6 hits, and now Doug Mathis takes over.
That's a good opportunity for Doug. If the bullpen was completely rested, then you might see Darren O'Day this inning, but because of the way the bullpen's been used the last couple of days, it's a great opportunity for Doug to come in a key part of a big ball game and show Ron Washington and Mike Maddox what he's capable of doing.
Certainly a challenging part of the order. Ellsbury, Pedroia, and Victor Martinez setting up their leading RBI guy, Jason Bay. Mathis, when he comes out of the bullpen, has been almost untouchable. The only reason he has an ERA of around 2 3/4 is he had a start that didn't go real well. For Mathis.
Great pitch right there. Get ahead in the count, which is always nice, and then make a pitch. Fastball, tailing, and caught that inside corner. That's a Kevin Millwood special right there. It's about 3 inches inside when the hitter gives up on it, and then the late movement brings it right back over the inside corner.
Pedroia takes outside. Rangers getting ready for the Minnesota Twins, who trailed today 7-3 to Cleveland in the 6th inning. One pickup to note for Minnesota, Orlando Cabrera, who has hit safely in 23 of his last 24 games. That just adds to their 3-headed monster of Morneau and Mauer and Jason Kubel. Mauer's got 94 runs batted in. Mauer's got 73, and he's hitting about 380 now. He is 26 for his last 49, hitting .531. big swing from a little guy. Dustin Pedroia hits it up. That looked like the one he hit off Eric Gagne here a couple of years ago. And most of Pedroia's power has been recent. He's got 10 home runs for the year, 5 of them now in the last 2.5 weeks.
It looked like a cutter and right down the middle of the plate, not where Doug was trying to throw that one.
Well, the insurance fund provided by Taylor Teagarden is helping out now. Rangers still have the lead by 1.
Well, all 3 games have been similar kind of games. Each of the first 2 games was 4-2 Rangers around this stage of the game. Today it's 4-3. Not much margin for error. Fairly low scoring games except for the big 6-run inning the Red Sox had late in the game.
Now the playoffs will probably be like that too, right? If there is such an animal.
Usually.
C.J. Wilson getting ready.
But good starting pitching for the Rangers in all 3 games. That continues to be a solid spot for the Rangers.
The starter's ERA the last 10 games now is about 2.15. Nippert today, 6 innings of 6 hit ball, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. He lost him. Victor Martinez is on. Jason Bay is coming up. Mike Maddox to the mound. We've talked about how enjoyable it's been to watch Mathis attack the strike zone, but he has kind of lost a little bit over the last several pitches.
Well, you've got a 1-run game. He's just given up a home run to Pedroia, and you've got a hot hitter in Martinez at the plate, so he's being a little bit careful to Martinez. And he's got Bay up there, but he's also been a hot hitter.
Rangers fans and Red Sox fans trying to outshout each other. Homered in 5 of his last 8 games. He will take a strike off speed to start him up. Ground ball. Mathis has got it. Kinsler turns it. Double play. In the last 2 innings for the Texas Rangers. And we will keep it here at the 7th inning stretch on a warm Sunday afternoon. Time for the singing. On the Border shows you what you missed. Big Papi going very, very deep. They give Boston the lead early on. Ian Kinsler would answer, though. Best way to get your revenge. Remember, Ian got hit in the head yesterday and a home run today. And Dustin Nippert announced that, yes, he would be in command and Taylor Teagarden would help him out. A 419-foot home run, we are told. And a crowd of 27,155 watching the Rangers lead the Red Sox now 4-3 as we get past the stretch. Okajima continues on the mound. It'll be Bird, Hamilton, and Kinsler here in the home half of the 7th. Rangers out hitting the Red Sox today, 10-7. The Minnesota Twins come in here tomorrow night. Hope you're making plans to join us. You can get your tickets by calling right now, 972-RANGERS. Bird continues to get pitched inside. He turned on one for a double in the 5th inning. Also lined out a couple times today. Softly in there for a strike, 1-1. The Angels' lead in Baltimore is 8-7 now. And by the way, Torrey Hunter has returned to the lineup for the Angels. He got hurt right here in Arlington right before the All-Star break. The Royals have taken a 3-2 lead on the Tigers in the 10th. That's of interest to the White Sox, who are scoreless with the A's at the end of 2. Chicago a chance to get back to within a game and a half in the AL Central. Marlon Byrd down on strikes, and Josh Hamilton comes up next.
A lot of deception. In fact, that's what Okajima gets by on. Not raw stuff, not a hard throw. He's got the good changeup. And he's got excellent deception in his delivery. He really makes that changeup look just like his fastball. And a lot of hitters look just like Marlon did, way out in front of it.
That hybrid pitch that he calls, we kid you not, the okie dokie. Okajima from Kyoto, Japan. Played for the Yomiuri Giants team in Japan. Played with Hideki Matsui over there for a while. Now, of course, they are rivals. Hamilton grounds to second. Well, Baltimore is about to bat now in the bottom of the 9th inning. Angels leading 8-7. Rangers 4.5 out in the West. And again, just a half a game out for the wild card. And the team that they're trying to catch, that's these Boston Red Sox. David Ortiz is going to lead things off in the 8th for Boston. That's set up for C.J. Wilson to roll on out there and go first.
Yeah, C.J.'s out there throwing right now. And I would have to think, with Big Papi coming up in a one-run game, it will be C.J.
I wouldn't mind seeing a 2-run game.
I wouldn't either.
Kinsler checks his swing. Okajima doesn't give up many home runs, but what the hey. I'm going to go ahead and put in the call. They haven't done that yet this series. Kinsler's already belted number 25 for the season today. Then he followed with the RBI single in the 3rd. He had a walk in the 5th. So a real nice afternoon for Ian. Yeah, Ortiz, Lowell, and Kochman due to come up for Boston in the 8th. That'll be a challenge for sure. in there for strike 2. Again, Kinsler adjusting to batting 6th in the lineup. He's been batting leadoff all year. Rangers going with Julio Bourbon at leadoff again today, and he's been on base twice and had a sac bunt. Kinsler pounds it into center, but it's caught. Okajima, a 1-2-3 7th inning. On we go to the 8th. Rangers trying to protect a 4-3 lead. Hanging on to a 4-3 lead as we go to the top of the 8th inning. And a quick programming reminder tonight from Petco Park in San Diego. The USA's best high school baseball players take the national stage. 7th annual Aflac All-American High School Baseball Classic, 7 o'clock tonight on Fox Sports Southwest. C.J. Wilson is on to face Big Papi, David Ortiz, who's already got a home run in this game. CJ trying to keep it 4-3 Rangers. First one is a good one. Ortiz, 1 of 6 lifetime against CJ. Christopher John Wilson out of Newport Beach, California. Ortiz had to jump away. As we've talked about with C.J. Wilson, the tinkering like a mad scientist approach, he has realized doesn't always work. He's got a great fastball. He's been asked to just pump it on in there. He does. It's 1-2. Not 100% of the time or anything. That would be silly. But
the point is, his stuff is really good, and he doesn't need to tinker. He needs to do it right there. Don't be fancy. Don't try to throw him any sliders. Just come right after him with a fastball on the inside part of the plate at 93 miles an hour and take your chances. Be aggressive.
Exactly what we're talking about. He does it to David Ortiz. A pitch tracker brought to you this inning by Amica Insurance. It's not just how you're covered, it's how you're treated. Mike Lowell takes outside. There's a psychological lift, to be sure, when you get David Ortiz swinging. It happened with Neftali Feliz yesterday. That ball banged in a left, base hit. Updating from Baltimore, the Orioles have just tied it up.
Well, that's some kind of game they got going on.
Back and forth they go. Nick Markakis steps up now. We were told he just grounded out, so that was quick. We'll keep you posted. Angels and Orioles, 8-8 in the ninth. Here's Casey Kochman and the tying man at first.
That ball at 94 miles an hour on a radar gun that most of us think is a little bit slow.
Kochman 0 for 6 lifetime against C.J. Wilson. That's when the Kochman was an Angel. Keep in mind the Rangers have turned double plays in the 6th and the 7th. Once again, the Red Sox, top to bottom. They will get up there and make you work, make you sweat, take pitches. Brian Anderson on deck, but for now it's Kochman. Another one is close, but called the ball, 3-1.
Was barely outside.
To the one-time number 13 overall pick in the draft a few years ago. Walked him. After the strikeout of David Ortiz, Lowell with a single, Kochman with a walk. And now Brian Anderson to the plate.
No, they're all just barely missing, and that's showing, you know, that he's definitely trying to pitch Kochman away. But in this kind of a game,
Nick Green is going to pinch run at second base for Lowell. He becomes a tying man. He can go right in at third base too, an even up swap. Well, Anderson has already hit into a double play. That was against Dustin Nippert in the 6th. He had that sac fly back in the 4th. Pretty nasty way to start off Brian Anderson. Get him thinking about that. Now maybe you throw a fastball or two. Four runs, 10 hits, 1 error, 8 left for the Rangers right now. 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors, 7 left for Boston. Winner of this game is the leader in the wild card division. Cracked foul. Angels and Orioles will go to the 10th. Baltimore having tied that game with 1 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th. The Rays are now wiping out the Jays 5-1. Greg Zaun homers against his former team to break that tie. Tampa Bay 5, Toronto 1, 8th inning.
you got ahead in the count now. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You bust him in, up and in with a good fastball, throw him a slider that he missed on the first pitch, down and in.
Fastball right about belt high inside.
But the one thing now you have to do, you have to throw him a strike right here. Don't go to 3 and 2.
2-2 pitch is inside. Full count.
He's being careful. He's trying to hit the corners, but Kochman is not a home run threat, and you miss 4 times away to him to walk him to put the tying run at second base. Now you risk putting the tying run at third base with only 1 out to a guy batting 8th who is not necessarily swinging the bat that well right now. Throw him a strike and make him hit it.
Throw him a strike. He did not swing.
He didn't get one. He threw him a tough strike. Borderline pitch right on the knees. CJ is going to make sure they don't get a good pitch to hit, I guess.
Taylor Teagardin's got it.
It was in the rectangle.
Nicely framed by Taylor, too. Lance Barksdale says that's it for Anderson, and now it's Gonzalez to the plate. 2 on, 2 out. Second tour of duty with the Red Sox for Alex Gonzalez. They just brought him back in from Cincinnati, where he was hitting only .210. But a great glove man and a guy with battle-tested World Series experience.
CJ is trying to battle his way out of the 8th inning. He's thrown 18 pitches, 8 strikes and 10 balls, but he's got 2 outs and a chance to get out of it if he can get Gonzalez right here.
Jacoby Ellsbury is on deck. And the count is tilted in Gonzalez's favor here, 2-0. Swinging, and it's foul.
You get ahead in the count 2-0, and then you become a better hitter and a more aggressive hitter. And he's not swinging the bat all that well. He does have a double in the game, but boy, he jumped on that fastball. Fortunately, got out in front of it and pulled it foul.
Whipped that bat through the strike zone. Two on, 2 out, 8th inning. Now 2 and 2. This big crowd really getting into it now, on its feet.
Floated in a 77-mile-an-hour pitch, fooled them, and got the call.
Two called third strikes with the game on the line. Today's Ranger game on Fox Sports Southwest being presented by Amica Insurance. It's not just how you're covered, it's how you're treated. For more information, visit amicatexas.com. The Rangers have a 4-3 lead, protecting that thing with a little bit of angst, with a couple on and just one out in that 8th inning. But C.J. Wilson, very cool on a hot afternoon, called third strikes on Anderson and Gonzalez. Here's Ramon Ramirez now. Hank Blaylock to bat against him. Bottom of the 8th inning. Blaylock hits it high, center field. Keeps on going. Ellsbury's there. Ramirez allowed only 2 homers in 72 innings last year. Not an easy guy to hit one out against. Ramirez, a one-time Ranger prospect, signed with the Rangers at age 16 as an outfielder. But he was released. He started working out all on his own as a pitcher. He worked at a Coca-Cola bottling plant to make money, and after work he'd work out, try to get better as a pitcher. Ended up getting signed by a Japanese team. Then there was a little bidding war for his services once he got it going over there. The Yankees won that bidding war. Big surprise. Then he ended up getting dealt to Colorado in the deal for Sean Chacon. Now here he is as a Red Sox. 2 strikes to Teagarden. With C.J. Wilson doing his thing in the 8th, Frankie Francisco is hoping to do his thing in the 9th. Teagarden deposited one off the windows near that restaurant in left field last time up. Longest home run he's hit. And it was a deep count in that at bat. Taylor's been up there for a while, basically 4 times today. Doing a great job catching today on a hot afternoon. He works a walk. Well, there have been some veteran at-bats by young Ranger players, huh? You got Bourbon, you got Andrews. I think yesterday, the whole youth thing was never better on display. The Rangers rookies yesterday, Tag, had a win, a save, 7 hits, 5 runs scored, and 7 stolen bases.
Yep, they sure did. It was fun to watch.
This one's not coming as easily today. It was a 7-2 game yesterday. It is 4-3 here. Strike 1 to Andrews, and by the way, Nick Green stays in the game as expected, playing third base. Boston's going to have the top of the order up in the top of the 9th inning. Andrews rolls his eyes as he is told it is 0-2. For Frankie Francisco, the chance to get it right. The one out that he achieved in that long 9th inning Friday night, he struck out Josh Reddick, and he's not even on the team anymore. He got sent down. Well, face guys like Pedroia and Martinez that hurt him on Friday. As we often talk about, Tag, the great thing about this sport, you don't have to wait a week. You can come back the next day or in a day and a half, essentially, and reclaim what you think is rightfully yours.
Well, it looks like Frankie's going to get a chance, and unless the Rangers can score right here, it's going to be a tougher save situation than the last one.
Bourbon will come up with 2 out. Let's quickly go to the set of Rangers Live. Dana standing by.
Well, Josh and Tom, a lot of late night post-game shows this weekend. How about a late afternoon show coming your way? Mark McLemore will join me. He'll provide the former player insight. We'll go inside the Rangers clubhouse. We've had great player reaction the last couple of games. We'll have highlights of that extra inning game between the Angels and the Orioles and get you ready for the 4-gamer against the Twins. That's all coming up right after the game, guys.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Dana. I'll give the fans some credit today, too. On this hot afternoon, they've been into it. 27,155. The Rangers' first day game in 9 weeks. And as mentioned, Minnesota's in here tomorrow. Tommy Hunter, who has been the big game pitcher for the Rangers. Go up against Francisco Liriano at 7:05 tomorrow. The Rangers trying to make it 7 wins and 2 losses against Boston this year. Last year they were 1-9. Ramirez, a guy who throws very hard, but he also likes to use that changeup. Bourbon into right field, base hit. That was the fastball that he got around on. Yesterday he was on base 4 times. Today it's 3 times plus a sac bunt. Easing into that leadoff spot for Ron Washington.
Ramirez has a real good slider. He throws a good fastball, too. Lower 90s with his fastball. That was a fastball that stayed up and out over the plate. Good job right there by Bourbon. Give Michael Young a chance to add to the Ranger lead. Be nice to see Michael shoot that line shot into right center field, score them both. Won't take a whole lot to score Bourbon the way he runs.
Michael's been on base 3 times, a single and 2 walks. Lays off and takes a strike. Again, the top third of the order for Boston is due. Frankie Francisco is ready. Everything mid-80s here to Michael Young.
2 sliders on the outside corner.
One of the better 2-strike hitters that the Rangers have had. With a 1-2 count on him here. Called out on strikes. So it is going to be a tough save indeed for Frank Francisco. A 1-run lead, top of the order coming up. The Rangers 4, the Red Sox 3. baseball brought to you by Southwest Airlines, also by Progressive, and by the Ford F-150. Been quite a ball game, and you go all the way back to the very first batter. Jacoby Ellsbury led it off in the first inning. Our Coors Light freeze cam. Julio Bourbon asked to go get it. He will come right out of that logo and get it. Set a nice tone this afternoon. Ellsbury will bat now to lead off the ninth in a 4-3 ball game. Again, the winner of this game is on top in the wild card division. And here is Frankie Francisco.
Pretty good pitch right there. Couldn't have been outside by very much.
And Frankie trying to shake off the effects of a miserable inning on Friday. His ERA went from 2.0 to 3.66 in one night. You don't often see a closer's line of a third of an inning, 7 hits and 6 runs. In fact, with Frankie, we had never seen even 4 hits allowed in any line. But it was just one of those games. And the Red Sox stole one away. To left field, and there's Bourbon.
Whoa.
He got it. One out in the ninth.
Good pitch, too. Frankie going right after him with his fastball. Nothing fancy. Here's my best. Give it your best, and we'll see who makes out.
And now the diminutive second baseman who swings like he's a huge hulking DH. Last year's MVP, Mr. Pedroia. There's the big swing. He fouls it.
Yeah, you don't often look at a guy this size and in a one-run game worry about him hitting the ball out of the ballpark. But with Pedroia, you have to worry about that because he's got the power to do it.
Young guards the line at third. Wave and a miss. It's 0-2.
One thing you have to do is keep the ball away from him here. And that's what Frankie did with this pitch.
The Rangers have not yet been 16 games over 500 this year. They got that chance right now. Two away, stuck him out.
Good pitch. Keep the ball away from him. Don't give him a pitch he can pull. All fastballs so far from Frankie, and well-located ones at that. Pedroia didn't like the pitch. Didn't like the call. Let's see what it is. That's a strike right on the outside corner. Good call right there.
Now, Tom, we've talked about the resiliency of this Ranger team, bouncing back from the tough ones. And individually, there was nothing tougher that's happened to Frankie Francisco than Friday night. One more in the bounce-back department. It is Victor Martinez to go and get. It was Martinez with 2 strikes on him that turned a 4-3 deficit into a 5-4 lead for the Red Sox the other night.
8 pitches from Frankie, 6 strikes, every pitch a fastball.
It's foul. It's 0-2.
Got away with one there. Luckily, he was out in front of it. That was a splitter, and it stayed up in the strike zone. He's so geared up to hit the fastball because that's all Frankie had thrown that he was well out in front of it. swinging a curveball.